We're told that this shape is an equilateral triangle. And something that you should know about an equilateral triangle is that all its angles are equal. And if all of its angles are equal, then each one must be 180 divided by 3, which is 60. So all of the angles in an equilateral triangle are 60 degrees. Okay, so if we look at this angle here, then is going to be 60 degrees, and we're trying to find cos 60 degrees. Now, this line from A to M is actually a line of symmetry, and if it's 2 meters all the way from B to C, which it must be because it's an equilateral triangle, then this must be 1 meter here, and this must be a 1 meter as well. So let's have a look. In this triangle here then, ABM, we're trying to find the cosine of 60 degrees. And the cosine, remember, is the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. So in this triangle here, the adjacent is going to be 1 meter, and the hypotenuse is going to be 2 meters. So in other words, the diagram is going to show that cos 60 is a half. I think you're working there. I would write cos 60 degrees. I would label on here, this is the adjacent, this is the hypotenuse. I would write cos 60 degrees is equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, which is equal to a half. And they'll be looking for the 60-degree angle marked there. Right, the question now says, find the exact value of the sine of 60 degrees. Now, there's your 60 degrees still. The sine of 60 degrees is going to be the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. In other words, what we need to do is we need to find the length of AM. So let me just draw that again. Here is, I'm just going to draw that part of the triangle. There's our 60 degrees. That's 2 meters. That's 1 meter. That's a right angle. And we need to know the length of this. And I can use Pythagoras here because I know that this side squared, so one of the short sides squared, plus the other short side squared, well, that's 1 squared, is going to equal the hypotenuse squared, which is 2 squared. So x squared plus, or 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, x squared plus 1 is 4, so x squared is going to be 4. If we take away 1 from both sides, x squared is equal to 3, so x is equal to root 3. So the height of this triangle is root 3. Now we're trying to find sine 60, which is the opposite, that's this one, divided by the hypotenuse, this one. So sine 60 degrees then is the opposite, which is root 3, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 2. So sine 60 is root 3 divided by 2. The question then says, use the exact values of what cos 60 was a half and sine 60 was root 3 divided by 2 to show that cos 60 squared plus sine 60 squared is equal to 1. So I'm going to start there with the left-hand side. So cos of 60 degrees squared plus the sine of 60 degrees squared is equal to, don't write the 1 yet, we're going to hope to end up with 1. Well, cos 60 is a half, so I'm going to do a half squared plus, now sine 60 was root 3 over 2 squared. Right, let's keep going. So a half times a half, well, that's just a quarter, or you can square the top, square the bottom. Here, if I square the top, well, the square root of 3 squared, the squaring and the square rooting undo each other, so you're left with just 3, and on the bottom you're doing 2 squared, which is 4. That now gives us a quarter plus 3/4, and a quarter plus 3/4 is equal to 1, which is what we were hoping to find.